Good morning, everyone. You're welcome to another edition of the Vetiva Breakfast Meeting brought to you by Vetiva Capital in partnership with Frontier Africa Reports. On our agenda for today, we'll be getting a usual rundown of the equities and fixed income markets from our traders. Following that, we have joining us our partners from CGF Boss, and they'll be giving us updates on the BRVM. And then we'll conclude with headlines from across Africa by our media partners at Frontier Africa Reports. Once again, we'd like to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded and it may be shared with third parties. It is also being streamed live on our Vetiva online Facebook page if you prefer to view or join from that platform. And the session is set to last for 30 minutes, inclusive of Q&A. And during the course of the meeting, if you have any questions, you can send them in using the chat function available on Zoom or the comment section on Facebook. However, I'll be having a Q&A segment where if you'd prefer to speak, you can make use of the raise hand function on Zoom and you'd be allowed to speak. We will now be starting off with Simbiat from the Global Equities Desk and should be taking us through some markets from across West Africa. Good morning, Simbiat.
Good morning, Victoria, and good morning, everyone. Yes, I'll be reviewing the Ghana market and Nigerian equities market. Starting off in Ghana, the Ghana Stock Exchange continues to trend upwards as a composite index closed 8 basis points up, with the market returning 41.32% year to date. Yesterday's gain was supported by two gainers we saw in the session. We had Unilever leading the pack, followed by Total Ghana. Both stocks have had positive patronage in the last 3 sessions, as Total Ghana continues to record new year high. Going into today, we expect the market to continue to trade in line with previously released earnings reports like we've been seeing, and MTN Ghana dominating volume traded. And finally, in the Nigerian equities market, the all-share index closed yesterday's session in the red as the index dipped 63 basis points to start off the new week. We saw that was largely driven by the negative close in Danksem as the stock shed 326 basis points. Also, for some other names that contributed to the downward movement, we had Wema Bank with a 562 basis points loss. Zenith also shed 61 basis points, both contributing to the negative close for the banking index. In the banking sector, we've continued to see mixed performance, investors trading back and forth, stocks gaining today and shedding points next. So we expect to see this continue while investors await earnings release and interim dividend announcements in these names. Market activity levels traded mixed yesterday as turnover declined by about 39%, with retail investors still being the most active in the markets. Our expectation for today, just like we anticipated last week, the markets are a quiet session to start the week with activity levels trading mix. We expect to see markets following the prevailing trend while we still await outstanding corporate release, particularly in the banking names. Thank you, and that'll be all from my end.
Thank you very much, Simbiat. Next up is Omorege, and he'll be taking us through the fixed income market and currencies. Good morning, Omorege.
Good morning, Victoria. Good morning, everybody. System liquidity declined significantly to open yesterday at about 55 billion negative, coming from the 365 billion positive that we saw on Friday. Despite the decline in system liquidity yesterday, interbank rate losing by an average of 6.88% on the back of reduced funding pressure, as OBB and overnight rates closed at 13% and 13.5% respectively. For today, we expect money market to trade at lower levels as OMO repayment of about 80 billion come into the system. The parallel market remains stable to trade at 510 naira to $1 yesterday, while the earning window opened at 411.3 naira to $1. The highest rate that was recorded yesterday was 412.9 naira to $1, while the closing rate was 411.5 naira to $1. After recording a 3-week low yesterday, Brent and WTI gained about 0.4% and 0.7% to open today at $69.33 and $66.91 per barrel respectively. However, we think that this gain might reverse soon as concerns of reduced global demand persist. The TB's market opened yesterday on a bullish note as market participants took positions ahead of the NTB auction that is happening tomorrow. We saw continued interest on the long-dated maturities, especially on the July 2022 maturities, while trades were majorly executed on the 30th June 2022 and the 14th July 2022 maturities. Overall, average benchmark rate declined by about 4 basis points to close at 5.36% at the close of yesterday's trading session. In the OMO market, we also witnessed bullish sentiment with few trades consummated across the benchmark curve, with average benchmark rate declining by about 8 basis points to close at 7.48%. The bonds market picked up where it closed last week as it resumed this week on a bullish note. Offers on the 2036 and the 2050 maturities trended lower from the 13% and the 13.15% that we had seen in the previous trading session to close at 12.95% and 13.11% respectively, while interests were witnessed across the mid to long end of the benchmark curve, especially on the 2028, 2035, 2036, and the 2050 maturities. Trades consummated yesterday were majorly on the 2035, 2036, and the 2050s. Overall, average benchmark rate declined by about 6 basis points to close at 12.36%. The Eurobond market opened this week on a very active note as the decline in oil prices, the lowest that we have seen in 3 weeks, spurred sell-off across the sovereigns. The most notable rate improvement was seen on the Nigeria 2049, with offers on that particular maturity touching 8% mark. The corporate space had a very quiet session yesterday. We expect the current bullish sentiment in the market to persist, with some investors coming into the market to cherry pick attractive offers across the benchmark curve. For the TB's market, we expect it to trade on a muted note today as market participants await the primary market auction that is slated for tomorrow. That'll be all for fixed income. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Omorge. We'll now be moving to Sheikh, and he'll be giving us updates on the BRVM. Good morning, Sheikh.
Hello, good morning. So the BRVM has maintained its bullish course over the last few weeks. In a quite impressive run, the regional stock exchange continued a string of putting together excellent performances, mainly with the BRVM composite recording its 5th consecutive weekly upward trend with a performance of plus 68% and ready to par the bar of the 170 points. Buyers last week basically imposed themselves in the market, displaying a balance of variation with over 25 stocks that were ending in the green while 15 were finishing in the red. This was also felt across sectors in the indices because most of them closed in the green with the exception of public services index, which fell only by 0.04%, in line with the contraction of the Sodexo. The total volume traded over the last week reached 1.4 billion CFA. In terms of best performance of the week, on top of the podium, it was Sicor share, which rose by 24.75%, continuously performing well despite very low transaction volumes. The share recorded a performance of 303% since the beginning of the year and has been sailing on its highest prices over the last 3 years. It is important to note that the last activity report published by the company was in the first half of 2019. The second best performer was Sever Abidjan, which was the investors were mainly seduced by the maintenance of a BBB rating by Wara Rating Agency, which considered the company remains in a healthy financial situation despite the consequences of the COVID-19 on its activity. The investor flocked to the title, and as a result, the stock achieved this week the second best performance of the week. In terms of other values, Bernabe Ivory Coast performed at 14.71%, Crown CM 7%. In terms of the lowest performance, it was mainly led by Safka Ivory Coast with minus 17.47%. This underperformance mainly justified by the explosion of the small speculative bubble in which the stock was located in the month of July, and therefore the stock faced a little correction and dropping since the beginning of August by 14.47%. In terms of the bond market, in terms of stock highlights, Sucrivois and Bolloré both decided to pay on, will announce the payment of dividends for Sucrivois of 882 million CFA total gross amount expected in dividend, and Bolloré 5.98 billion in gross dividend expected to be paid this week. In terms of the bond market, the market cap reached 6.7 trillion, showing a drop of 0.48% compared to last week due to the partial repayment of the capital bond of the public treasury of Niger. The weekly value traded amount stood at 200 million, mainly focused with the sukuk of the public treasury of Ivory Coast. In terms of the money market, the state of Ivory Coast, Mali, and Burkina Faso requested in the market a debt raising of over 125 billion, and the market responded with 357 billion proposed to cover the market, but only 128 billion was absorbed. In terms of this coming week's money market, only the state of Benin is expected to issue treasury bills totaling 30 billion CFA, and that's it for the updates on the BRVM.
Thank you very much, Sheikh. We will now be rounding off with Faith, and she'll be giving us updates from across Africa. Good morning, Faith.
Thank you, Victoria, and a very good morning to everyone. I'll start a quick rundown from East Africa, where our Nairobi Securities Exchange and Safaricom are now partnering to allow with Bonga Bonds, also NCBA Bank is partnering MyState Vault, a service provider, to provide an alternative safety deposit for clients. In Uganda, Stanbic Bank's first half of 2021 profits went up 21.5% to 154.9 billion Ugandan shillings. In West Africa and Nigeria, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NPC, has revealed that the April's revenue went up 17.73% onto 535.61 billion naira. Chelaram PLC is delaying financial statements until 30th of September this year. A fintech startup need raises $23 million for Uber drivers to buy cars. That's quite interesting. In South Africa, Standard Bank is to release the first half of 2021's results on the 19th of this month. Also, Anglo buys 169,356 own shares at $0.54945 each. In Namibia, there is going to be a sale of $70 million, $70 million Namibian dollars of 8% 2030 bonds by 11th of this month. In North Africa, Mohamed Omran, he remains as the FRA chairman for another 1 year. Bank Secure is also to start up 500 million Egyptian pounds SME-focused investment company. CI Capital's profit after tax jumped to 977.83 million Egyptian pounds in the first half of 2021. Morocco is expected to mobilize 65.2 billion dirhams by 2021, coming from subsidiaries. Also, Arkemia is set to back production and drag the turnover down 16% in the first half of 2021. That's all from Frontier Africa Report. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Faith. We have now come to the Q&A segment, and if you have any questions for our speakers, you can make use of the raise hand function available on Zoom. That's if you prefer to speak. And if not, you can use the chat function or the comment section if you're joining us from Facebook. Okay, looks like we do not have any questions today. Although during the course of the day, if you have any questions, you can send them to us at researchgroup@vetiva.com and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. We have now come to the end of today's session. We thank you for joining us today and hope to see you tomorrow. We also urge you to continue to stay safe and have a productive day ahead. Good morning and thank you.